Hello, I'm Robert Wiesenmueller. I'm the Esports manager of Race Room. I've been sim racing since 2007, so quite a long time. And of course, I know the wonderful Mr.C. And today we're going to have a chat.
Hello, Robert. Nice to
Hey,
see you.
Mr.C.
Nice talking to you. This is a long time coming. For the people that might not know you, few of them as they are, can you please tell a little bit of yourself, like your real life thing, and then a very short summary of your long and illustrious sim racing career?
Okay, hello everyone. First of all, my name is Robert Wiesenmueller. I'm 30 years old now, so quite a long time already in the sim racing. I've been driving since 2007. I started on Race, the WTCC game back then. And for a long time, I participated in many community championships like the Race Department, Touring Pro Series, GPVWC. So I went around a couple of leagues. Sometimes I even won. And now since 2017, I work at Race Room. So I think a few of you might know Race Room, the racing simulation. And I worked there as an organizer for the esports competitions. We started off with the esports WTCC back in 2017, and by now we actually have quite a few. We have a GT Masters Championship, a Cupra Championship, soon a DTM Championship, so something to look forward to. And that's pretty much what I can say. And sim racing is my big passion, and I think that's how we know each other. We raced a long time ago against each other and together in the Touring Pro Series and in Race Department.
Thank you very much. We're gonna start with some standard questions like that I have for the other people also. What's your biggest achievement in sim racing, except the job? Because I presume that's the old one. But no, like a championship or a race or something that you're really proud.
Yeah, I think that's hard to say because there are a few great moments, that I'm also very proud of. And one thing that I'm really proud of was actually that last year I qualified for a LAN tournament in Austria for the A1 Esports. And it was the first time that I really qualified for a big tournament with prize money, and they pay me the flight, and you can drive on the motion simulator there. You're treated like you're the superstar, you're a VIP, man. And that I achieved that, actually when I was 29, when I was not really competing anymore regularly, but I just come back for the competition and I make it. Okay, in the final, I was last in the final. Okay, whatever. But still, that I made it to this tournament, still at this point, for me, it's probably the greatest achievement.
Awesome. And I think I asked you this before in our long conversations, but do you have an enemy? Now you're not racing competitive because you're doing the work for everybody else to enjoy, which is awesome, and thank you. But do you have one guy that whenever you see on track, oh my God, no, let's fight, or it's a target for you? I want to beat that guy.
I think I always had it in every championship that there was one guy that I wanted to beat, but it's not the same guy every time. I know back in the day I drove in a league called Touring Pro Series. We drove a lot of championships there, and there was usually the guys actually from my own team. I had one of my teammates was Toby Davis, for example, and I always had I always wanted to beat him because he was like the guy who ran the team. He was the best driver in the team, and I was always very, very motivated to beat him. And so back then it was him, and now I drive on the leaderboards on Race Room for fun, but there's still a few names, some people that I know, they are my age and they drive the same time, like Jan Stange, Norbert Leitner, you maybe sometimes as well. So I know, okay, come on, I need to push, I need to get these guys.
Okay, so I need to push a little bit better on Brand's head.
I think I've got 4,000 of an advantage right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's not much. It's not much.
I'll see. So how did you start sim racing? Did you discover it yourself, or some friends told you about it, or back in 2007?
Yeah, well, I played racing games before, actually, because my dad, he had a computer for basically forever. And even when I was very little, we had the games like G of Kremens, Grand Prix 2, I think. and we didn't have a steering wheel. We just had a joystick, for example, and I just drove this game for fun, and I watched the motorsports on the TV, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then I got like Toka 2 and F1 Challenge and all these games, but I play offline only, or with my dad or with some friends or so. And I was a fan of the WTCC, of the Real Championship. And when the game came out, I went on the first day. I went to the Media Market, which is an electronics chain in Germany, and I got this game. And then I tried for the first time also to play in the multiplayer. And I just had a joystick still. I didn't have a steering wheel. And then I always drove on this one server, which was called RPM. And it was the server that was run by Bram Hengefeld and Yuri Geisen. And Bram Hengefeld, maybe some of you know, he's the guy who founded the race department. And they invited me to their championship, which was the RPM WTCC League. And this was the first league that I drove. And it was really cool championship with 4 servers already. And I think I was 16 at the time, and I was super motivated. I really wanted to, get good at this, and that was my first experience. So I started sim racing with the joystick, and it went pretty well, actually.
So talking about competitions, do you feel like sometimes I'm like dreaming that if I have like the proper time, I could still be I wasn't like very competitive, but I was like half decent, especially in front wheel drive cars. And I'm still dreaming like, look, if I have the time, I still have that speed. Do you feel the same?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I have it anymore. And that was one of the reasons why I kind of switched sides, because at some point, like, when you're young, and you're a competitive guy, you want to compete, you always want to run in the front, win the championships, win the races. And I think in sim racing, there's a lot of competitions now where the level is really high, where there's prize money, LAN events, maybe not this year so many LAN events, but, there's kind of a competitive scene. Pro teams, esports teams are joining in, and the level has really gone up again. And for me, of course, I know I cannot invest the same time anymore, but sometimes every now and then I still invest the time just to see where I'm at, and it's not enough anymore. It's enough to have like a small success, get to one tournament, get on the one leaderboard in a really good position. But I just have to be honest, to really win a race on a big scale league, I can't do it anymore. I can't pull it off. Other guys are too good.
Well, there goes my dreams. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I know I'm dreaming. Like I have Mihai, Salu Mihai. He's like really fast, and now he's like attempting to do front wheel drives, and he's like really pushing me. And like, come on, just leave me that little bit of a crown. Like I'm the fastest guy in race room in front wheel drive in a certain time. I'm like, just leave me that little bit. He doesn't want.
Yeah, but they are relentless. I see all the time, when I look on the leaderboards now in race room, for example, or also on Affect, or when I look in the competitions, there's these guys like 3 years ago, I could beat them easy, no problem. Just do 5 laps and I got this. But they are motivated, they are practicing, they have the dedication, they have exactly what we had when we were on top, right? And they have got the reflexes and so on, and that's just the natural way. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. We have to start doing like what do you have in real life, like paid drivers or the gentlemen sim racing leagues. That's the future for us.
Yeah, like a league where like a minimum age is 30, right?
Yeah.
But I have to tell you one thing: we have a guy on race room who's competing in the competitions. He's called Karel Vega. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He's a French guy, and he's already in his 50s. So he's not a young guy at all. He's quite a bit older than we are, but he is so determined. He goes, he practices like over one day of driving for one car track combination, and he actually improves. He's on a level now where he's like legitimately on the same pace as there's some guys like Nikodem Wisniewski, the guys that win in the big competitions, just because of sheer determination and investing the time. And I think he really wants to prove himself, more than anyone else. And so it is possible, but I think it doesn't get easier.
You have to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so I think I am, but I never had the the real life opportunity to do this, but I'm not going to tag on to that. I know Vega. He's like he did like he's solid top 10 in front wheel drives.
Yeah.
He's like in Division 1. I was like, oh boy, that's good. Anyway, let's talk about the switch. So you went from like a really professional, mega fast alien predator that you were in every combination of car, because you're not only fast in front wheel drives for people that don't know, to like commentator, event organizer. Was the switch hard? Like when you have to shut off the engine?
Yeah, from that point of view, it is kind of hard. That I still, especially in the beginning, I always wanted to, I thought, well, such a nice league, and I can't drive in it because I have to work. It's every time the same. I cannot do the DTM league, cannot do the WTCR league because I'm working on it in the background. I'm not allowed to participate, and even if I was, I wouldn't have the time. So in the beginning, that was hard, but you get a very good compensation for it. So I will be the last one to complain. So
Okay.
you have of course, it's a paid job, obviously, but then also like you get a lot of behind the scenes views, and you can also create a lot of things. You can put it in a certain direction, you can influence things, and that's also exciting.
So what's harder for you? Like, is the organizing the event, like all the details and everything, and try to make everybody happy, or the commentating?
The commentating, for me, it's actually kind of easy, but it's something that I never really focused on. So I kind of did it as, we needed a commentator, and I was already there, so I just commentated on the race, but it's something where I didn't particularly prepare much for. And it's also something where I didn't think, that it would take me anywhere. I thought, okay, I can do it for a while, but there are professionals who are really good at their job, and eventually they are going to take over. And for me, that was absolutely fine. And so I never really took the steps really to improve, to really work on it. And I just did it, for the time being. And now for a lot of competitions, we have professional commentators who are really, really good at their job, and I have no problem with that. So the organizing for me, it is harder, but it's also the most interesting part, I would say.
So what can you tell us? Like, what can you reveal from that job? Like, what's hard? What's nice? Some insight
Yeah,
behind the
maybe I
thing.
can start with how you can get such a job, because that's also
Oh,
maybe quite
sure.
interesting for some people. And of course, I can only tell from my point of view, but I think in many cases it's that there are people who come from the community championships who actually get into the scene. So that's not unusual. When you work for a community league, when you build something on your own, maybe you work on a team, you work you participate as a driver. These are the people that the organizers are often in contact with. And when you have a passion for a topic and you have a lot of interest, then that helps a lot. So in my case, it was like this, that I was qualified for a LAN event from Race Room in 2016. It was from GT Masters in Hockenheim. They had some simulators in the pit lane, and it was the first time really that such an event happened, at least that I knew of from on the Race Room platform. And I was one of the finalists, and to be honest, it was cool. You get to the Hockenheim ring, but the event itself, it had a lot of problems. They changed some rules. We to press the brake, you had to put like your whole body weight into the back of the seat because it was put so hard, and it was, it was really, really strange. And it's understandable because it was the first event, but at the time I complained nonstop. I just complained the whole day. The next day I go back there, I complain again, right? And I was just finished with the university, so I said, I can do it better, right? And it took some back and forth, of course, and eventually, like half a year later, they gave me an opportunity to prove it that I can do it better. And you find out very easily that it's not as easy as it seems. There's a lot of things you have to take care of. There's a lot of partners who come in, especially in the beginning. A lot of motorsport series and manufacturers, they got interested in sim racing, but they didn't know anything about it really. And so you have to do a lot of explaining. You have to be a patient, which is not my strength. So yeah, it was really kind of a steep learning curve to get some decent competitions. And there's still a lot of things we can improve. We don't really do right now, but Yeah, what I would say is so that there's a lot of people from the communities who've come in and who've gotten great opportunities out of it. Lewis, for example, Lewis McGlade, one of our old friends, old competitors in the leagues, he worked on the Le Mans Esports broadcast as a commentator, just as an example. Or Eric Strandel, who also competed with us for a long time and who won some championships in TPS. He works for the FIA now on the sim racing topic. And so I think if you really want to get somewhere, then the best thing is to never stop working on your passion. And even if you maybe don't have an opportunity yet from one from of the publishers of the big leagues, and go at a small league and try to improve things, try to build some cool racing leagues, do some good commentary and so on, and eventually I think you will get in touch with the right people.
So, but I know at the moment is Racing still hiring? I know you have to be like
I don't actually know at the moment, but if someone wants to send the application, for sure. I mean, we are always interested if there's some some passionate people about it. But I'm not on the human resources team there, so I cannot say for sure. But yeah.
Come on, Roberto, just push to somebody on in English. I can make your life hell. Just
yeah, we will see. We will see after. We will see after this call is over. Maybe in a couple of months it's the other way around. I interview mr.c, esport manager of Race Room. And all I have is I have to do the YouTube channel then.
All right. Since we are both fans of Race Room, like Niels Huisingveld had a very good video like a while ago, and he said, pick the simulator that's most fun for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not regarding minuses or pluses or like advantages or not. We do not go into the whole sim racing fight and everything. But I have the most fun in Race Room, so we're going to talk about this. Again, what you can, because I presume this video will get some like international viewers, so which are interested in the Race Room. What can you tell us about the future? Because you mentioned DTM 2020, so we'll start with that.
Yeah, so first of all, about your first point, I think you got it exactly right, and Niels also got it exactly right. There's so many different sim racing games, and some people say, oh, this is not a sim, this is sim card. This is a true sim, the setup is wrong, the tires are wrong, but in the end, we all want to have some fun when we play a game in our free time, right? And so I think that's great if you have fun on the game that you play, and yeah, that's what we all want, right? When it comes to Race Room, of course, DTM is one of the big topics, and that's something that won't take long. We've got the DTM 2020 cars coming up after a long waiting time, because we only had until 2016. We had a few seasons, and we've got the historic 1992 season in the game as well. So yeah, there were 3 years that we missed, but finally we got it together with the DTM, that DTM 2020 will come. And in addition, there will also be a cool competition coming up. So it's basically, yeah, 2 for the price of 1, I would say. And so that's one of the highlights that's coming for sure in this year. Of course, I work on the competition side, so I have a lot of information on this, and not so much when it comes to the game features. We have a development studio in Sweden, Sector 3 Studios, and maybe there's an idea for a next guest. If you can get someone from them, he can tell you more.
I'm not that good yet, but sure.
But what I can say for sure is that the team from Sector 3 Studios, it's actually, I think it's a bit more, there's a bit more people than a couple of years ago now, and there's a lot of projects going on. Of course, we have got our partner championships, the WTCR is another one, the GT Masters. There's some interesting things in development in the background for that. And what we always try is to have something cool for the competition side, from also from business to business side. But then also we always try to get the cars in the game so everyone can enjoy. If you drive offline, if you drive online, doesn't matter, So, and yeah, at least for the DTM, that's what will happen for sure. And I think it won't be the only thing this year. There will be a couple more things.
1 second, I'm gonna make a flag here. Hey, Claudio Klima, I don't know if you heard that? Drive offline, not like in iRacing. We can drive offline the car, and also we can test cars. Take note.
Yeah, you can even test the cars for free. I'm not sure if many people know that, but before you buy a car on Race Room, there's a free test drive, and you spawn on a standard track, and you got I don't know how much it is actually, 5 minutes or so, where you can just drive around on the car. You can just try it out if you like it, and I think that's quite fair.
Yes, it is. And that's why I never bought the FX17 because I'm glad.
Oh, yeah, it can go both ways for us. Some cars they look cool, but yeah, then you try them and you don't like them.
So I'm gonna press you on it. Do you have like a rough estimate for the competition, which I presume to mean also the cars?
Yeah, I think it will be split in 2 different releases. Competition will probably start before the cars are available for everyone, and I think overall it's everything together. I don't think it will take longer than 2 months.
Longer than 2 months. Okay, that's
not
fine.
Longer than 2 months.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So August, September, maybe end of September, give or take.
Yeah, we see. I don't know the exact dates myself yet, so it can always change a bit. There's a lot of pressure when you have such a project, because probably most of you, they follow the real racing too, and you saw DTM first race last weekend. So there's not a lot of data available. A lot of, have to do the 3D models, deliveries, the physics exactly like it is, the sound, which is another big topic, the performance data and everything. And this year, all the motorsport leagues, they started so late because of Corona. And that really, on the one hand, it gave some opportunities, of course, to do some things with the racing series. We had like a real drivers racing, and you probably saw that everyone was doing it. The race had the championships, the F1 had with the VIPs, and there were some opportunities. But when it came to the new content, it also delayed some things, of course, because the real series just didn't start yet. WTCR is not going to start until mid-September, the real series. So in some ways, it also delayed some things.
So that's gonna. When is the racing championship gonna start? The TCR championship.
I cannot tell that.
I thought I had.
Just have to be a bit more patient.
It's okay. Should people, like you said earlier, a point that I want to come back to, that if you're really passionate, and I think I am, I don't know how it looks from the outside, but I know how it looks inside, but they should pursue until something happens, because you have like different opportunities. You can be a YouTuber like Jimmy or anyone. You can be a commentator like Lewis. You can be like an organizer like you. You can be a driver. You can be a team manager. You can be lots of things in this passion, sim racing.
Yeah.
But growing in age, I presume perspectives change, like you said. So I can be a driver in my 20s, but in my 30s, when I'm not competitive enough, or like some people come and fast, I can still be in the sim racing scene in some way or another. So this is a message from you to the younger guys, that because I see a lot of, at least in Romania, I see a lot of young guys that they're coming like really passionate and everything, but after 1-2 years, they're like, well, I'm in 18, 19, 20, 21, that age. They kind of drift off. So I want to keep them somehow involved in sim racing.
Yeah, of course, it's a decision that affects your life. How much time you want to spend on the hobby, what you want to do for work, and I can understand it if people say after a time, okay, this is fun, but to choose, to pursue it so intensely, it doesn't get me somewhere. I can understand this thought process, but sometimes, that's not true. Sometimes it does get you somewhere, and sometimes maybe you're lucky. Maybe the scene, it gets much bigger. I mean, we didn't think back when we were driving that, in these days there would be tournaments where people can win $100,000, where Williams has their own esport team. Maybe you thought it, I didn't, right? But now it is the reality, Now it is the reality that sim racing kind of is like a competitive sim racing as well, kind of is a part of the motorsports world, and it's not gonna disappear, I think. So sometimes it also, the reality changes, and a lot of opportunities come up that you don't really expect before. But I have to tell you honestly, I didn't do this because I expected to get a job in sim racing eventually. I just did it for fun because I really enjoy sim racing. It was a big hobby for me, and it's just really fun to race against other people and join the competitions and fight and improve yourself. And if you have fun with this topic, then why should you stop?
Yeah, on the topic of fun, and this is like one of my greatest memories. Like when I had like the fight with top 5 that is on. I always put it on every new person that I meet in sim racing. I put the TPS series, the race room, the one where I passed Chris Shepard for 5th in Division 1 or something like that. Anyway, with the ladder, of course. So
The TC1, yeah.
yeah. So for me, that fighting, that sense of adrenaline and not achievement, because I didn't say it was 5th place or 6th even. It wasn't that great, but for me it was amazing. So I'm chasing that alone, that feeling alone. And but you brought it back around nicely. And I liked what you did. That was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you mentioned the TC1 because I remember a race there that I drove in the series, and to be honest, in this series I spent so much time for practice, and actually it was at the point where it wasn't really fun for me anymore. It was like a bit over it already because I came to this championship and they were also good. You know, all these people, they were really fast, they could drive, and there was this one guy who was the king of the race room at the time. It was Julian Kunze. He's still competing now. Now he's also, you know, not quite on form anymore. But back then he was just the boss. Every time you look on the leaderboard, you see his name on the top. And I spent on every race, I spent like over 15 hours just driving this one track, one car at least. Just driving until I get on a decent pace because this guy destroys me in the qualifyings, in the races. He's consistent. He can overtake. He's just better, you know. And I practice, and then there's one race on Sonoma, and I get the win, and I pass him on the track, and it was so great, you know. And after this, I had no motivation anymore because it was like, you know, it was all for this moment, but it was worth it, you know. It felt great, you know, to set a goal and to achieve it, and you know, at the same time, the racing is fun, of course. So. And that can really drive you, and that is a feeling. That is the feeling I probably miss the most. You know, you don't have that when you organize a league or so, or when you do your job, but that's something in sim racing that's really special.
But you get it a little bit, like I get it from the team's perspective, because when my team does great, yes, it's not the same feeling as when I'm driving, but I still get a jolt. It's like I have like this, like I activated the team again in the Romanian Championship, and when they do like really well, like oh my god, like in one, we had like 2 races per event, and in the last round, we have 4 cars, and all of them were in top 5. Watching Victor Nicolai, I hate you. Because he was like the 5th car and he was in 2nd place. He didn't allow us to be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was a jolt for me and brought back memories. Anyway, talking about, let's talk about sim racing, but I'm going to put you in a difficult spot now. Not compare, that's a bad word. Where do you put race room? Anecdotally, so not like fact-based, because we already established that it's fun-based. But compared to like, do you have more fun in other sims like Air Factor 2, New Automobilista, iRacing, ACC?
So honestly, it's just my personal opinion and not from my job or so. I have a lot of fun on Race Room, and I played it before, and I also have a lot of fun on Air Factor 2. For me, these are 2 games I play for fun. Assetto Corsa Competizione is another one which I haven't really figured out how to drive fast on the game, but it felt really good. The Automobilista, I just had a short try of it. I really like the old games, you know, when they had the same engine as the R Factor based engine. When this was game Stock Car, the first Automobilista, I really liked these games. The new one, it feels a bit different from the physics, and when I tried for the first time, it was also fun, but I didn't exactly know what I had to do. And to be honest, iRacing, it does not interest me. It has like a great mode from the you know, how you can join the races. But whenever I drive this, it feels like you have to be so careful. You know, you can't push. You can't go hard. You go hard. You go a bit over the limit. Oh, okay, you spun off. Nice. You know, you go in a fight with someone, or you get incident point. You get you also spin your car. I don't know. For me, you know, I drive the touring cars. I drive hard on the track. You know, rubbing is racing. It's not my game.
I also like Air Factor 2, but the sounds in Air Factor 2 are like Race Room is like head and shoulders above anybody else. Maybe ACC comes close-ish, but some cars in Race Room, oh my god, they sound like the AM1 in a Race Room is like amazing.
Yeah, and I think the credit goes to Anthony, who's our sound designer, and he's been working a long time already on these cars, and he goes to all these French tracks when they have the historic races especially, and he always goes there with his recording devices and so on, and he just really puts a lot of heart into it as well, and the dedication to get it as close as possible to the original. I have to say, you know, the stuff that Assetto Corsa did, it really impressed me. I think they've come a long way. They improve a lot. And also Affect, I'm not on the sound, that they not really pay so much attention, to be honest, but also I think they get the game in a good direction now, and I think that's great. You know, finally something happening on the sim racing. You know, everyone's improving.
How hard is like when to commentate? You said it's an easy job for you, but do you have like easy-ish? Do you only drink water, or you have something like beer or something to spruce you up or a little bit, or like a vodka?
No, I just drink water, and it's not really easy as such. I think one problem for me is that it's not my native language. So sometimes I have to think what a certain word means in English. But it's just how you approach it. I think I just don't, you know, make myself the pressure. So I'm just relaxed about it and approach, and then it kind of works. When I commentated for the first time on a race, it was not like this. I was very nervous. But by now, when you've done it a few times, then I don't know. I don't feel like pressure also.
What do you think is best for sim racing? A team that has good collaboration, or a single guy? I'm not talking about endurance racing, like 2-3 hours long, like 1 hour and a half, 2 hours max.
Just in a normal race, you mean? If you drive in a team, or it's always better.
Like commentating.
Oh, commentating. Yeah, we always do with 2 people.
Yeah, I know, but
I think it's so much easier to do it with 2 people because you can actually have a conversation. And otherwise, you just talk to the audience, but it's very abstract. You don't see anyone, and you can sometimes read the chat messages, of course, but you don't really know how it is, how they see it. You know, if they're really interested in it. And when you talk to someone else, it's a lot easier. And also, you don't have to talk so much. You can just take a break for a lap and let the other guy do the work. And also, when I listen to it, it's the same, that I enjoy it more when 2 people are talking with each other.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on the same opinion. Like a good combo, because you don't have always the good combo. Sometimes there's no like magic there, but when there's the magic there, it's like, yeah, 2 commentators all the time. Your family before you had the job. So now I presume it's more serious. But before you had the job at Racer, which I still hate you. Did your parents and friends understood sim racing? Like, okay, I'm doing this sim racing thing, especially when you're in TPS day and you're like winning or like fighting for championships. Then did they watch the broadcast? Your friends, your family?
Well, my dad always watches the broadcast. I think he was a bit of a fan, you know, when I drove as well, and not everyone understood it, of course. Some people didn't understand why I can't go out on the evening because I have a race. I think that's normal. Some people don't understand it, but you know, the cool thing in sim racing is if you can kind of explain it. You can show a broadcast. You can let them try to drive a little bit, and some people they enjoyed it. They also had a wheel for a time. It didn't really catch on that they still do it also, but in general, I think a lot of people thought it was a bit weird, but whatever, you know, it's fun for me, and the most important people they understand it, or at least they tolerate it.
Okay. What's your perfect combo? Like if you really want to have fun, like just for a short burst, like you don't have like a lot of time in the day, but you want to have fun. You take a car and a track.
Yeah.
Which is it?
At the moment, honestly, I drive Porsche Cup on race room. I drive on Most because it's like super challenging, you know. And I have fun because I can slide the car, you know.
Okay.
I can push it, I can balance it on the brakes, and it's not the car where you have understeer. So you have some understeer, of course, but you also have oversteer, and it wants to kill you, and it's reactive, and I don't know. I just have fun with this at the moment. It's not, but I
Oh,
just drive on offline. I just drive on
yeah.
leaderboard or offline, and but right now it's this.
Okay. So, what do you think of esports in general? Because we all saw the big boom this year, all the competitions, all the sim race, but it started to die down a little bit in like in 1 or 2 years. Where do you think we're gonna? Where you would you be?
I don't know where I am in 2 years. No one really knows that. Yeah, I think this year was special because obviously because of Corona. There were a lot of opportunities because there was no real racing, and everyone from the real racing, they still had to do something. And that was sim racing was great for it because you can do it from home. And I think this is also the core strength of games in general. You know, you have the esports hype in a lot of games. You still have it on Dota and Counter Strike, whatever. And it's cool. I really like it. I enjoy watching the Counter Strike, the big tournaments, because it's professionally done and it's a great game. But I think the core of gaming, of course, and also of competition, in my opinion, is still online. You know, and I think on sim racing there's a good base for the competitions for the future. I think a lot of interest from the community actually is not always in the competitions, but it's also more like in the game modes, like the way iRacing does it, for example. So like semi-competitive modes where you can have a good, fair, clean race, and you still, but it's still for the fun. You don't have to do the 15 hours of grinding on one car track combo. I think it will go a lot in this direction on all the different games in the future, because that's where I think the most players will join. You know, so I'm not sure if we will see so many like high level LAN tournaments with the big prize money, if it will really go in this direction. But what I think the most important feedback from this whole from the whole development in the years was that I think sim racing now really is a part of motorsports. It's you can't really think of a racing series that is not represented in a sim racing game, that doesn't have its own competition. There's very, very few series that are not involved somehow. There's more and more drivers getting into the real racing. I mean, we both know Tim Heinemann, right? Love him or hate him. I watched the race on last weekend when he drove on the DTM trophy in the Mercedes GT4, and he was just better than everyone else. I mean, he's just on the. He comes in the real racing, and you have a lot of talents, you know, that will go into the real motorsports without having to spend thousands of and hundreds of thousands of dollars for the karting, for the junior series, and so on. And so yeah, I think in that way it's great. There's a lot of manufacturers who understand now that it's, you know, that it's good to have your car in the game, and it's not just, you know, to make some license money, but you know, it's people who love cars. You know, they just use it in a different way than before. You know, and I think this is the most positive thing about it also. So I think in general, sim racing is in a much better spot than it was some years before.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And uh, the car manufacturers also they start seeing that, okay, if they play this car in this game, maybe there's a chance they will buy it. Okay, I'm not talking about Aston Ferraris and all that crap, but like Cupra, it's like a
Yeah,
40-ish car, and if I race it or I aspire for it and then I race it in sim racing, maybe it pushes me a little bit towards that direction, just a little bit. Like when you listen to music, it pushes you a little bit into
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think it's just you know, on the one hand, of course, it makes people aware there is a Cupra. You know, it's not a Seat, it's a Cupra, right?
Yeah,
Maybe some people didn't know that before. And on the other hand, you can do something fun with the car, and it is something you download the game, you play for free, right? You don't have to go somewhere, you don't have to do a test drive, and if you don't even know the brand before, you might not do it anyway. But you just play the game, you play something fun, and I think that's great.
Okay, so now let's sell some race room, because this Romanian league that I'm doing, there are like two sides right now. We're in AC at the moment, but there were like next. It's known that the next championship won't be in Assetto Corsa.
Mhm.
So I'm like the race room preacher, and there's like an iRacing preacher, and there's like an ACC preacher. So if you would like, what car? Because again, testing is free, so you can test any car you want. If you would like need to sell a car in racing, the one that feels the greatest and sounds the greatest and it's the most fun, and okay, 3 cars, not one, 3 cars.
Yeah. Oof, that's a tough one.
Even easier, 3 classes.
Yeah. Okay, I think one class that is just that's still a very, very awesome class is DTM 2016. I think these cars really turn out pretty well. They have a high downforce, they have good lap times, but they're still kind of accessible. You know, they're not super difficult to drive. You can get them around the track easily. You can have great races. You have a DRS, and so that's a great class. And of course, you know the 2020 is coming soon, and that will be a class that everyone will buy. So that's yeah, that's one of the great classes. You can always find a public server if you're bored. So I think it's a great class to get. One of my personal favorites is TCR. You have a very large variety. You don't have that on the other games. You're on iRacing, you have the Audi, I think. But I mean, it's just the Audi, right? Why you want this? You can have a Cupra, you can have a Hyundai, Honda, Lincoln Co, Volkswagen, Peugeot, Alfa. So you have a lot of variety. The cars are very close. The balance between the cars is very, very tight. So you can drive with different cars and still win races. And of course, it's front-wheel drive. It's a very hard racing. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but when you want to have hard racing, close battles, and I think it's the best. It's the best class. And for the third one, I have to think a little bit what we can say. But I think what's very cool on Race Room is the historic classes as well. If you are interested in historic touring cars, for example, there's a DTM 92, and or touring classics. They're kind of similar classes, and you have a big variety of different concepts of cars in one class. So on the DTM 92, for example, you have Mercedes and BMW who are, you know, you have to push them very hard in the corners, rear-wheel drive. There's no ABS or so. So they are challenging, and you have to gain all the times in the corners. Then you have a power car like the Ford Mustang that can't drive around the corner at all, but on the straights you go zip past everyone and you're gone. And then you have Audi, which is a 4-wheel drive, completely different handling. You gain 5 places at the start every time, but you have to watch out, you know. It has a long braking zones, and it's just really fun to race with it, the strengths and weaknesses of the cars, and also they're kind of, you know, there's some beasts, you know. You really have to. You can drive it with the clutch as well, and it's actually like if you're good on the clutch, it's slightly faster to drive with clutch instead of pedal shift. So it pays off if you're really skilled, but still at the same time you're still close enough with the pedal shift. So I think that would also be a great class, probably the most challenging one out of these 3 that I mentioned. But yeah,
the most challenging is like the Group C or whatever.
Do you know Group 4?
Yeah, whatever. Oh my god!
With this Porsche there from the 70s, it's crazy, man. I can't even drive that.
Also, in race room, I like. There's so many things I like about race room. The broadcast is easier. Like you can be a spectator and do it like that, and the sounds are amazing, and the whole leaderboard thing is very, very nice, because you can, okay, if you want to do some practice and you don't have any reference, you just go on the leaderboard and you use the reference, and then the ghost lap, because you can have your own ghost lap and then you can improve on yourself. Because one thing that this is an advice for people that are looking on leaderboards, look for a guy that has a similar driving style as you have. Because if you're going with a different driving style, you're going to struggle a lot,
Yeah.
and you're going to the wrong direction. Maybe you'll improve your time, but then when you're alone, you're like, it's different that you want to drive. So find someone that's similar to your driving style.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of tricks actually. Sorry if I interrupt, but maybe there's some tricks I can tell for improving your lap times on the leaderboards. One thing, of course, is the ghost feature, and the way I normally do it is I drive against my own ghost when I want to improve, but I challenge the ghosts of faster drivers, just for a couple of laps to see what they are doing. Maybe sometimes my approach for a corner is completely wrong, and then I can get some inspiration, and then I can see what they do. Another thing is if you drive on the cockpit view, or if you use the full cockpit display, then you can have a delta time. It's not as easy to find as in other games, but delta time really helps if you want to improve your lap time, because you can see exactly in which corner you lose time, which line is better. Then of course I would always try to think also in your head, leaderboard and race is different things. If you want to improve on leaderboard, you can sometimes drive more aggressive than you would be in a race. You can go a bit wider, to really try out to use the maximum of the tracks and just go as far as the track limits allow you in the game. And there's no tire wear, for example, there's no fuel usage. So these are things that you don't have to take care of on the leaderboard. So you have to see it a bit different. But of course, it also means that when the race comes, you should probably do, a small race run or something like this, so you know this one as well. And yeah, just in general, try to set a target for yourself that is somehow realistic as well. If you say, "Oh, I want to beat Jack Keithley," then you will not have a lot of fun. But if you say, "Okay, I want to beat Mr.C," because in my case, I say I want to beat Mr.C, then I have a nice target. I have something to do for a little bit of time, and I have a challenge for myself, and it's fun.
That's nice. Another tip that I have and I usually use is what we both know that Jack Keatley does very well is like, and he also mentioned a little bit, test the track limits, like on millimeters, and this is like general for all racing. Just use all of the track possible. And if we are doing like front wheel drive, yes, be aggressive, but be smooth on exit. Smooth on exit is like king.
And that's what I noticed, because we talk about this leaderboard, and you tell me, "Oh, I'm actually close to the guy in first out of these corners," and I say, "Oh, I'm not close at all, because I drive so much rear wheel drive now. I kind of forget to be smooth on the exit, and so out of the second corner I lose a lot of time because I have too much wheel spin." And that's something, you're absolutely right, and I use all the track for sure. That's the first thing when I joined the THR team, Toby Davis told me, you have to use all of the track, and it's so crucial. And it applies everywhere, no matter what you do.
Yeah, I have these small kids like in my team now, and they're like, we're testing the track now, and they're not braking on the curbs like for the corner. Like, what are you doing? You're like leaving time, but no, because it's the same speed. No, it's not, because the entry line is going to be wider, so you can take more speed. So that's like, just listen to me. I'm not as fast, but I have experience. Shut up.
It gets complicated now, though, right? Because like on some tracks, you pick up the dirt on the tires. Sometimes also when you go like on the green stuff next to the curbs and so on, and then sometimes it's you really have to think. And if you play other games like R Factor and so on, you have to think about the tire temperature also on the hot laps. You have to think about a lot of factors. The suspension damage when you go too hard over the curbs, and it gets harder and harder. And some people on iRacing, they will say it doesn't get harder. We had this for 10 years or so. But for me, still, but it's still it's still a big challenge. But in the end, it's simple. You have to drive the fastest line around the track. So
yeah. Oh, it gets complicated when you're like trying to find that last half a second, because I presume a lot of people can be within 1 second. I'm talking about front wheel drive because that's what I'm well.
Yeah.
Within 1 second, it's like half decent, half easy, but then next half a second is harder, but the last half a second is like crazy. Especially now on Grand Sets, it's gonna be like 200 people in 2 tents or something like
probably,
that.
For me, it's also easy when I drive to get within like half a second of my ultimate pace. I really don't have to do any practice to achieve that. But then it gets so difficult. It gets so hard to find this extra, and it's always a mental exercise as well too.
And that's where the passion comes in. Yeah. I'm not going to keep you much longer, as I know you have to go. Plans for late 2020, early 2021 for Robert Wiesenmueller, the driver.
The driver. I want to find I think I would be happy if I just find a competition where I can really join and where I have the time to do everything. I think this year I did one championship from Actual Vision. That's a cool community, by the way. If you play race with me, he has some cool leagues. So I drove one league, and then I drove some like special races here and there, but that was it. So if I would just find a league where I have the time to to do like maybe just miss 2 races of the season, I would be already happy.
But I'm gonna push you on it, and you're not gonna like it. You're still gonna be with the current team, or like are you looking for some others?
I'm sorry if I have to disappoint you there. We still drive on the Impact Racing team. It's not as serious as it used to be. So a lot of guys they went to the WRE Esports, they went to the Euronics Gaming, and I mean it's good, of course. If I organize the leagues and my own team competes, that's that's not professional. So it's good now. We are just a fun team, but we still the fun ends when we go on the track, right?
Right, I know.
Yeah.
As a final thing, can you tell people they are going to listen about sim racing, like your thoughts? We covered this passion. If you like it, enjoy it. Choose your sim that you enjoy the most, the one that is most fun. Try Race Room. It's free, definitely free, and the competition are like amazing in Race Room. And the broadcast, I love the broadcast so much.
Thanks a lot. So, yeah, I really hope we can have some, the stuff that we do, that it's fun for the people who take part in it, no matter if you drive, if you qualify for the race, if you watch. So that for us is the biggest reward, that we can do a job where we actually bring some fun for everyone who's participating. And if you can share the word, if you can get more people in, that would be great. It's just more people having fun.
Yeah. Robert, I'm sure there's like plenty of episodes in us, like we have lots of memories to talk about. So maybe we're going to do like episode 2. But for the now, you're busy. You're a busy man. Thank you very much for this. And go play Race Room, guys.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me and for having me, and thanks everyone for listening, and maybe we meet on the track.
Try again.
I can't hear you very well.
Why not?
I don't know. It sounds like it sounds very strange.
Do you hear like the rain? Because it's raining at me and the window.
No, I can hear you a bit better. How can I see my own picture? I just see you.
I don't know. Press the Skype something.